When Guns N' Roses exploded in the late 1980s, they weren't just another band. They were chaos, passion, and raw power packed into one. But behind the wild success, something darker brewed. Slash, the iconic guitarist with his top hat and Les Paul, once revealed the brutal truth about Axl Rose and the band's constant fight for control. What he said changed how fans saw Guns N' Roses forever. This isn't just about music, it's about power, ego, and the clash of two men who shaped one of the greatest rock bands of all time, the rise of a dangerous band. In 1987, when Appetite for Destruction hit the shelves, it felt like a bomb went off in rock music. Songs like Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child O' Mine weren't just hits, they were anthems. At the center of it all stood Slash and Axl Rose, the wild heart and the fiery voice. Together, they looked unstoppable. But even in the early days, cracks began to show. Slash has admitted that while the band thrived on chaos, Axl wanted control. He demanded perfection, and sometimes that meant shows started late, or didn't happen at all. Slash, the laid-back guitarist, clashed with Axl's obsessive drive. The tension was building, even when the world thought Guns N' Roses was untouchable. Slash later said, "We weren't always on the same page. Axl had a vision, but it wasn't always the band's vision. And that vision would soon lead to battles no one outside the band could see coming." Axl's iron grip. By the early 1990s, Guns N' Roses had become the biggest rock band on the planet. But with success came control, and Axl Rose held the reins tighter than ever. Slash revealed how difficult it became to keep the band together when one person called all the shots. Axl insisted on having the final word about recordings, tours, even videos. According to Slash, it stopped feeling like a band and more like Axl's personal project. What once felt like a brotherhood now felt like a dictatorship. On stage, the band was electric, but backstage, the atmosphere was suffocating. Slash admitted he often bottled up his anger, channeling it into his guitar. He loved the music, but he hated politics. "It wasn't about the five of us anymore," Slash confessed. "It was about Axl's rules." The audience never saw the cracks, but inside, Guns N' Roses was already starting to collapse under the weight of ego and control. The breaking point, the turning point, came during the recording of the Use Your Illusion albums. Slash described it as one of the hardest periods of his career. While the albums became legendary, the process nearly destroyed the band. Axl's perfectionism grew unbearable. He delayed sessions, changed songs, and demanded endless retakes. Slash felt trapped, torn between his love for the music and his frustration with the process. He later admitted, "I just wanted to play, but it felt like every note had to go through Axl first." Tensions boiled over during tours. Axl's notorious late arrivals on stage left Slash humiliated, forced to face angry crowds. For Slash, who lived for the fans, this was the ultimate betrayal. The trust between them shattered. When Slash finally walked away in 1996, it wasn't just leaving a band. It was escaping a prison of control. He knew the magic they once had was gone, buried under years of power struggles. Life after Guns N' Roses. After leaving Guns N' Roses, Slash found freedom again with Slash's Snake Pit and later, Velvet Revolver. For the first time in years, he felt like a musician instead of a pawn. He surrounded himself with people who wanted to make music, not power plays. Slash admitted that walking away was painful, but necessary. "I had to find myself again," he said. And he did, becoming one of the most respected guitarists of his generation. Meanwhile, Axl kept Guns N' Roses alive, but it was a very different band. Fans noticed the absence of Slash, and the rivalry became legend. For years, Slash avoided talking about Axl, but when he finally opened up, the brutal truth became clear. He respected Axl's talent, but he couldn't live under his control. That balance between genius and domination was what tore Guns N' Roses apart. The reunion and reflection. In 2016, something fans thought impossible happened. Slash and Axl reunited on stage. For the first time in over 2 decades, Guns N' Roses played as if no time had passed. The energy was undeniable, but the past was never forgotten. Slash admitted the reunion worked because they finally understood each other. Time had cooled the anger, and they could focus on the music again. But Slash's earlier words still ring true. Guns N' Roses lost years to control and ego. The brutal truth Slash shared wasn't meant to destroy Axl. It was meant to explain why one of the greatest bands in history nearly lost it all. It's a reminder of how fragile even the biggest success can be when control outweighs collaboration. Slash's story about Axl Rose isn't just about two rock stars. It's about the dangerous balance between vision and domination. Guns N' Roses gave us some of the most iconic songs in rock history, but behind the music were battles that nearly silenced them forever. In the end, the reunion proved one thing. No matter how brutal the past, the power of music can heal old wounds. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real legacy of Guns N' Roses.